welcome back to another episode of our book club series. Except we're doing the discussion this time. We're going to start with the discussion of reading 4, and then we might do the discussion for reading 5, depending on how in-depth and how long the discussion of reading 4 takes us, aka me. But anyways, I'm pretty sure I say it at the very beginning of both videos what pages each reading is from, or the very end. Either the very beginning or the very end of each video, I should say what pages to and from each reading goes. So that should help you with knowing what we're discussing. Let's see, what did I write down? I felt like there wasn't as much in reading number 4. Like, I felt like there was definitely more in reading number 5. But, that made me so sad when the dad shot the dog. Like, I don't know. I'm really torn on that. I'm really torn. I don't know how to feel about that. You guys can let me know your thoughts on that. That really was like, I can't blame her. Like, I just can't blame her for going to live with the neighbors, for going to live with, I just can't blame. I would probably be that mad, like, honestly. Like, I feel like I would be similar to how she reacted, so I can't say anything. Y'all know how she keeps having that recurring dream where basically she gets mugged in a car, or like, and what happens is she saves the baby, but Chris gets taken. In like every dream, Chris gets taken. She's just like got it in the back of her mind. She's got like all this anxiety about Chris getting taken or getting lost or something. Gus moves in with the Golds fam for a little bit because she's so upset about her husband shooting the dog. So y'all tell me, okay? Hold on, I need some coffee. I feel very tired, and I feel like I'm not really articulating very well today, so just give me a second. Hola, bonita. Hola, bonita. Okay, I don't know if you can read it, but whatever, it's fine. I said it. So, I'll just drink my coffee while I'm doing this. I'm sensing some flirtation between Michael and Gus. Am I the only one that's sensing this? Because he comforts her, like, in the middle of the night when she's staying with them. He comforts her, and then he, like, puts his hand on the small of her back and guides her back to her room. So there's that. Also, it says that he touches her belly, which is like, I don't know. I guess if you're like really good friends with somebody, that's okay. But I don't know, it just seemed a little weird to me. It said that he touched her belly and commented on her girlish figure. And previously, in previous chapters or in previous readings, it said how much Michael loves pregnancy. He's like obsessed with pregnancy. And it talked about how he was staring at Gus. I don't know, man. I don't know how you guys are interpreting all of this, but I am sensing that I'm sensing some sexual tension between Gus and Michael. And it's like building up slowly. With each reading, I feel like it gets more. Like in the first reading, he was staring at her while she was pregnant, and then he, like, you know, he comments on how much he loves pregnancy and how much it turns him on and stuff. And then in the last couple of readings, he comforts her in the middle of the night. He touches her belly and comments on her girlish figure. Like, I don't know. I mean, I guess it would just really depend on like the context of their friendship and the situation. But with the background now that we know how obsessed he is with pregnant women and pregnancy in general, and how much he likes that's like his thing. That's one of his things. I don't know. In light of that, it really does. I'm sensing some sexual tension. And I'm also sensing that Melanie is picking up on that sexual tension between her husband and Gus. Because it says, it makes a comment that Melanie sees them walking like up in front of her when they're doing something, and like she's walking behind them. And so Melanie is watching her husband and Gus like walk together. And like it just comments on how she's just like watching them, and they're like, and how easy it is for them to just how easy their chemistry is, basically. She's just watching her husband talk to this other woman and thinking about how easy their chemistry is together. And so I'm thinking, okay, I'm sensing some jealousy, I'm sensing some tension, I'm sensing that something is building up. We don't quite know what yet, but something is building up around there. Something is building up with those relationships. Okay. So, yeah, the dog gets shot. That's so depressing. I don't comment on how Michael has the commitment to heal, as opposed to James, who's like, I'm just going to shoot the dog and get it over with, which he does. And then, like, he doesn't tell anybody. He just does it. And then everybody finds out later. And and Gus is pissed, and she goes to live with Melanie. I mean, we already kind of touched on this, but she goes to live with Melanie and Michael for a little bit because she's so pissed, and she takes Chris with her when he's like really young. Anyways, I'm not going to recite the story. I don't know why I keep doing that. Like, if you're reading it, you're reading it. Or if you're listening to it, you're listening to it. You know it. But, so, yeah. Something I noticed was that Melanie thinks in her head that she's grateful. So after James shoots the dog, and then Gus goes over to talk to Melanie and like vent about it and say that she couldn't believe that her husband would do that, Melanie's like internally thinking like how grateful she is that her husband is committed to healing. And, you know, as opposed to James, which is like the paradox of James, the opposite, who just shoots the dog. So there was something to be said about that comment, how Michael has the commitment to heal. I don't know. I just feel like that's going to come back up somewhere. I don't know why. I don't know where, but I feel like that comment is significant. They're getting a lawyer for Chris. Something, yeah, we're definitely going to just go ahead and probably cover 5 too. I don't know. This doesn't look very long. So we're at the point now where Chris is in the psychiatry ward, and his sister finally gets to come visit him. Sorry, I guess I need more coffee than I thought. But anyways, he's in the psychiatric ward, like, you know, on watch because they don't want him to kill himself, right? So they finally let his little sister come visit him, and she's the only one that even acknowledges that he's suicidal. Like, everyone else is just trying to distract him and talk about life normally and just like gloss over everything and just kind of they're just trying to distract him and like just pretend like nothing has happened. And his sister comes in and accidentally makes a comment about him being suicidal, and it's the first time that he laughs. Like, the first time that he laughs since Emily died. And I totally relate to that. I don't know how you guys feel about that, or if you felt any type of way about that, but I totally relate to him. Like, he gets frustrated every time his mom tries to distract him, or somebody tries to talk about like life in a normal capacity, which it's not normal right now. Like, they're going through hell right now. So he wants to feel that pain. He wants to acknowledge that pain. And like, everyone around him is trying to distract him from that pain, which is essentially saying, don't feel your feelings, which is very, very damaging. And so for me, I was just like, I don't know, I'm grateful for his sister. I'm grateful that, like, I was just grateful for that moment with his sister, when she made him laugh. And it's funny, she looks out the window of his room that he's in the psych ward, and his view is the incinerator. And she goes, I wouldn't give a suicidal person this view. And then he laughs, and she's like, oh, I'm sorry, I wasn't supposed to say that. And then they have like this whole conversation, and it's like a real genuine conversation, you know. It's like, let the boy feel his feelings. Like, that really got under my skin, because again, I relate to that. So like, let the boy feel his feelings. Let him grieve. Let him go through it. That way he's not bottling all of these unhealthy, toxic feelings up. They don't let him go to the funeral. That one tore me up. Hold up. I need a sip of coffee for this one. They did not let that boy go to his girlfriend's funeral because they were afraid that it would push him to kill himself. I mean, that's the last time he gets to see her. That's the last time he gets to have like closure and like spend any time with her at all. And they don't let him go. I thought, like, as I was reading it, maybe this happened to you all, I was just like hoping internally that they would give in. I'm just like, please give in, please let him go, please let him go, because he wants to go so bad, you know, like he's like running out the hospital or whatever, like he's trying so hard to get out, and they literally have to drug him to get him back down. Because he just wants to go to his girlfriend's funeral. And it's like, so that part really did tear me up. Like, I was upset at that part, just at his family for, I guess they were just listening to what the doctor said, but I don't know how I feel about that. I feel like I have mixed feelings about that, and I feel like that could be argued either way. So if you have a different perspective on that, maybe you can let me know. I do see the side of, well, what if it pushes him into killing himself because he sees her and he's like, well, what else do I have to live for? Or like, whatever, you know what I mean? So I get where they're coming from with that, but I think it made it worse on him, especially if you've been following along, like, you know, like how badly he wanted to go and how much he had to fight and then still didn't even get to go. So I feel like it was worse on him not to be able to go, like, honestly. That part tore me up. Let me know what y'all think about that. Like, do y'all think that, should he have been allowed to go to the funeral? Should he have not been allowed to go to the funeral? Should they have handled it differently? This part was difficult to read, and it really, I don't know. I took note of this part at the funeral when Michael, let's see. This young girl comes up to Michael and like gives him her condolences, and she's like around Emily's age, around Emily's size or whatever, and he, I guess, forgets for a second that like his daughter's dead because this girl reminds him of his daughter, and he takes her hand and he puts it on his cheek, and she kind of gets like weirded out because obviously it's not actually Emily, like he's just like having this moment of, I miss my daughter, like, you reminded me of her. And oh my God, I wanted to cry. Like, I really wanted to cry. I'm not gonna cry. But anyways, I'm not gonna cry. That part really got me. That part got me. I'm just, hold on. I just felt so bad for him, you know. And on top of that, on top of like grieving, obviously he's gonna feel like an idiot now because it's not his daughter and she like kind of jerked away, which I can't blame her. It's just like, it was just an emotional moment. I felt his desire to see his daughter again, you know. Okay, so after the funeral, Michael goes and visits Chris in the psych ward, even though he's technically not supposed to be doing that because they're like about to be in a lawsuit against each other pretty much. And at the end of it, all that we know is that Michael tells him he doesn't know what happened, and that Chris tells Michael he doesn't know what happened, and that he won't look Michael in the eye. And then that's where we ended. Okay, I'm gonna go ahead and move on to to reading 5 now, because that was like really short. So okay, so big news in reading number 5. We find out that Emily was pregnant. Another thing that we find out is that the way the bullet exited her head didn't line up with someone shooting themselves in the head. It would have had to have been someone else shooting her like from in front of her. So now Detective Marone reveals that Emily was pregnant to the parents. She reveals to the parents that Emily was pregnant, and also that they have reason to believe that it was not a suicide, that it was a homicide. And it's going to get taken to the grand jury. Like, everything's like just, I feel like we're like almost at the peak. Like, we're still climbing. And then like up here, it's going to get crazy. You know what I'm saying? Like, we're getting there. I feel like everything's still building, but it's getting thicker. It's getting thicker. Drama is getting thicker. Okay. Michael and Melanie on different sides of the argument. Michael believes Chris. Melanie does not. Is livid at Chris. Shut up, Michael. So Michael and Melanie are basically on complete opposite sides of this. I didn't really know how to feel about this. Like, you can't really say, you know, how you would be in a situation until you're in the situation. So that's kind of hard to comment on from the outside, you know, because everybody deals with grief differently. But basically, Melanie is really, really upset, like incredibly upset. She won't even talk to Gus, her best friend. She kicks Gus out of her house. So Gus tries to come over and like just be with her best friend because they're both grieving. And Melanie's like, get the fuck out. I mean, you know, that's not what she says, but like basically that's what she says. She like shuts the door in her face, tells her never to come back. Like, she is pissed. She's like, Chris killed my daughter. Your son killed my daughter. And she is like not getting over it. She does not believe that he's innocent. Like, she has already basically convicted Chris in her mind. Melanie has. That he's just, in Melanie's mind, Chris is guilty. And I mean, you know, she's a mom who's just lost her kid, so you really can't judge that. You really can't comment on that type of thing from the outside. And the only reason I'm bringing this up is to note that Michael and Melanie are on complete opposite sides of the spectrum here. Because Michael believes Chris. Michael wants to believe Chris. He just can't believe that she's just like already set on the fact that Chris is guilty. Because again, Chris was Emily's best friend. They spent all of their time together for years and years on end. And he's like, how could you say that? How could you be like that? Chris was Emily's best friend. They spent so much time together. They've known each other since they were toddlers. Yeah, he's definitely on Chris's side on this one. Okay, so Melanie thinks that Chris wanted Emily to get rid of the baby. What do you guys think? I think Chris is innocent. My theory is that an accident happened. That's my theory is like there was an accidental shot of some sort and Emily's the one that got killed. I mean, there could have been an argument. I guess we won't know until later. But yeah, so Melanie thinks that Chris wanted Emily to get rid of the baby, and so they got into this argument, and then that's why he shot her. That's what Melanie's convinced of in her head. Again, you know, I don't know what I think about that. What do you guys think about that? Do you think that Chris would have been upset that she was pregnant, or do you even think that she told Chris that she was pregnant? Because here's the thing, if he knew that she was pregnant, would he have still shot her though? Like, who's gonna shoot their own baby? You know, like, I don't know. I think my theory is Chris did not know that she was pregnant. He still does not know that she was pregnant. I think that Emily was keeping it to herself, and it was driving her crazy inside. And I think that if Chris had known that she was pregnant, he wouldn't have shot her. But then again, I still don't think that he like intentionally shot her. Tell me what you guys think. Do you think Chris did it on purpose? Do you think he wanted to kill her so that because she was pregnant and they're too young to have a baby? Or do you think that Chris is innocent and he had no idea that she was pregnant? I want to know what you guys think. Or do you have a completely different perspective and you want to share that? I really would like to know. Flashback to when they're kids and they go to the McDonald's and they're like playing Truth or Dare. Emily and Chris are playing Truth or Dare at McDonald's when they're kids. And Chris like dares her to go into the men's bathroom. Well, she comes back out 5 minutes later and she's like, the book just says she's kind of like in shock. And she's just very quiet and won't talk and won't look at Chris. Like something happened, basically. The book insinuates very strongly that something happened in that bathroom. We don't know what. But Emily wouldn't look Chris in the eye. Like she could barely eat. Like she was very robotic when she came out of the bathroom. But it doesn't give us any clues or hints as to what happened, in my opinion. There is a guy that it talks about called the Creep. That's what everybody in town calls him. I feel like the book's like making it out for us to think that he did something to her. But because that's what they want us to think, I don't think that that's what happened. Y'all let me know what you think. Do you think Creep did it? Or do you think just to throw us off? There we go. Or do you think that's just to throw us off? Chris reads her diary. Finds out that she has a crush on him. Again, this is when they're young. We meet the prosecutor whose name is Sue. Now, then, between the discussion, during the discussion between Detective Marone and Chris, when he meets her to go to the station, he agrees to go to the station and meet her and answer her questions. Let's see. We find out that Emily planned it. Basically, we find out in this conversation between Marone and Detective Marone and Chris that Emily planned the entire thing. She told Chris to bring the gun. She wanted to die. Like, he begged her multiple times not to do it, including that night, not to do it. He asked her not to do it. Let's see. And then we find out that their discussion was the last discussion that he had with her was that basically she was stressing out about the future. And we end at where basically Detective Marone does not believe Chris. That's what I'm getting. What do you guys think? Do you think that Detective Marone thinks he's guilty? Because I think that she thinks that he's guilty. Like, she is like trying to crucify this dude. Like, I feel like she wants Chris to be in trouble. Like, she wants him to be guilty. Does anybody else feel that way? I'm like, what did this kid do to you? I don't know. I mean, I guess it's her job as a detective, but it seems a little much. It seems a little much to me. But maybe again, that's just me. That's just my perspective. That's just my opinion. Maybe I'm like, maybe that's not very neutral of me. But what do you guys think? Let me know. Do you think Chris is guilty? Do you think, let's see. What do you think happened in the bathroom? Do you think it was the creep? Do you think it was something totally unrelated? Like, it's driving me crazy. That part right there. I just want to know what happened so bad. Oh, and we also find out at the very end of reading 4, Chris mentions that that something was bothering her. Something really bad was bothering her. But she wouldn't tell him what it was. And she wouldn't tell anyone what it was. But that's all we know. He doesn't say, so that could be the pregnancy, that could be the incident that happened in the bathroom that she won't talk about. Like, we don't know. Sorry, that was a little scatterbrained, but I feel like we should all be we're all pretty much on the same page now. Thank you for the ones who have already told me that they're following along. I really appreciate it. You know who you are. Hey, what's up? But anyways, yeah, I just wanted to say thank you for reaching out and telling me that you're following along. It really does mean a lot to me. That if you're it really does mean a lot to me. So thank you for telling me if you're following along. And I hope to hear more. I hope to hear from more of you. But I love you guys and have a fantastic whatever day and time it is whenever you watch this. Right now, it is Monday at like 8 a.m. I think. So, cheers. Have a good day.
How y'all feel out there?
I'm light years, call me eons. When the snare kick in, the beat is neon. Lights, yeah, I'm feeling magnificent. Care less what I'm up against.